My name is Stacey Pearsal, and I'm a U.S. Air Force Staff Sergeant retired. I spent nearly 12 years in the military, traveling all over the world, documenting humanitarian relief efforts, combat operations, and day-to-day Department of Defense operations for the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the President, and Secretary of Defense field commanders, and just for journalism. I did that up until I was wounded for the last time in 2007, and then was medically retired in August of 2008. From there, I spent a year and a half in recovery and eventually transitioned my care into the VA. During my time in recovery, I really faced a lot of adversity, not just as a disabled veteran, but specifically as a woman. So I really have concerted my efforts toward helping other women with the same issues that I faced during my recovery. When I did go to the VA to get my care, I actually met a lot of really, really great veterans. And in that time, we would share stories. Most of the conversations would start with, "Hey, are you bringing your grandpa to his appointment?" And of course, there's that awkward, "No, I'm the veteran," and kind of explaining to them and redefining exactly what the face of a female veteran looks like. And I'm young, I'm a woman, and I am what a veteran is today. So in that conversation, I began to ask myself, why am I not taking pictures of them? And I started a thing called the Veterans Portrait Project. And in a way, it was therapy for myself, putting the camera back in my hands, feeling like I was giving back to my community, and also sort of validating my own experiences in combat. And in talking with the veterans that I was photographing, they too were being able to unload some of their burdens, talk, and we shared a mutual experience. Although they may have served in Vietnam or World War II or Korea, our experiences were the same, because I feel like when you go to war with other people and you have a like experience, that's something that one can't take away no matter which generation you're from. And I had the wonderful experience of talking with one of the homeless veterans in the VA program, and he hadn't spoke for about 6 weeks, I was told, until I came and I set up my portrait studio, and he walked over very curious, watched what was happening, and eventually walked up to me and gestured that he wanted to be part of it. So I had him stand and I took his portrait, and we exchanged a lot of words, though we didn't speak verbally, and afterwards he talked. And it was a really, really great moment for me, and I think for him, and also the staff that was there assisting him. So I think that's really sort of what drives me and what inspires me, and why I help veterans, not just with the Veterans Portrait Project, but in so many other ways, whether it's advocating, talking openly about post-traumatic stress disorder, talking about the struggles I face with traumatic brain injury, doing PSAs, and going around the nation and speaking openly about it, and also helping other veterans find the care and help they need, and just being a very good listener when all they want to do is talk. I've never been one to be egocentric or to do things that are driven for myself, especially after my combat experiences. And I think what makes me passionate is fighting for other people and helping them and getting them what they deserve and what they need. And veterans really being my family, of course I'm going to fight for them. So that's kind of my passion. What I find inspiring is actually many of my friends who are severely disabled, who continue to push forward in their lives, in their careers, and continue to be active members of their family. And they may be missing 1, 2, 3, and even 4 limbs. I have a friend who's burned over 85% of his body, and he decided to stay in the Air Force and fight for his career. And that to me is inspiring. And I have a friend who lost half of his brain, and the Marine Corps retired him. They said he'd be a vegetable. He wouldn't hear, he wouldn't see, he wouldn't talk. Now he's as alert as you and me. He drives a car. He wants to have a job. That to me is what inspires me every day. As a combat photographer, I grew up in a very cynical environment, a very tough environment, where the demands were great and the expectations were very high. And I put more pressure on myself to perform past what my physical limitations were. And even after being wounded in 2004, and even after being wounded in 2007, I continued to work despite what my body was telling me. Not only out of fear of losing my job, but also fear of what others in my unit would think. And if I wasn't missing a limb, or if I wasn't blind, and as long as I still had a pulse, then I should keep working. And that's that military mindset. But what I would suggest is that we begin to change our views and perspectives on things. Yes, we should press forward, no retreat, win the battle. But also be very aware of how we treat ourselves and we treat others. Because these injuries may not be seen. They may be traumatic brain injury, they may be post-traumatic stress. We just cannot continue to judge ourselves and judge others. It will be detrimental for the service in the future. And I think as long as we continue to change the mentality and continue to embrace change, then we will keep moving forward. And we will be even better for it, not only as a military community, but as a veterans community and a society as a whole.